if you want to be able to go and have fun and have energy and experience life and go from A to B and live your life. So if you don't put fuel in your gas tank, you're not going to get very far. So our gas tanks are actually in our cells, and they're called mitochondria. So you have your little cell. This is a cell. Here's a cell. There's 50 trillion to 100 trillions of these. Everything that happens in your body, converting hormones, making energy, feeling happy, stimulating fat burning, storing fat, getting sad, everything happens in the cell. And the place in the cell where you store fuel or where you make energy is called mitochondria. So they're like little energy factories. And to simplify it for tonight's discussion, I would call them little gas tanks. Okay? Those little gas tanks that are in your cells store, actually they convert fuel to energy, to digest your food, to contract your muscles, to use your smiling muscles, to hike in the desert, to play basketball, to pick up your grandchild and give kisses. So everything that happens, the energy that you need to live, to digest your food, to experience emotions and feelings and have energy, be able to move physically, has to happen and be converted to energy in those little organelles in the cell called mitochondria. The mitochondria can only use two things for fuel. Yes, you guessed it. Sugar or fat. So your body can only use sugar for fuel or fat for fuel. Those are the only two forms of fuel. A healthy body, and our ancestors did this really, really well, they were able to store fat when there was lots of food around, and then they were able to burn fat when there wasn't very much food around. In order to survive, they were able to burn fat. So you need fuel, you need gas. So when there's lots of food around, our ancestors would take that fuel and it would store it as fat, so that later on, when there wasn't any food available, the body could easily just use that fat, convert that fat, and burn that fat for fuel instead of having to eat, instead of having to have sugar. So most Americans are stuck in sugar burning because they're not healthy enough, and their mitochondria, those little factories of energy, those little gas tanks in your cell, are not metabolically flexible enough to use fat for fuel. So I started off the talk saying your quality of life, how long you live, your risk of disease, amount of inflammation in your body, how quickly your body ages, is directly proportional to the amount of time your body spends in sugar burning versus fat burning. So we're supposed to be really good at both. We're supposed to be able to go through cycles of feast and famine. And that's what happened a couple hundred years ago. About 100 years ago, with industrialized, modernized society, we now have food available all the time. So we're eating. We're eating too much, too often, and we're just storing a bunch of fat. We're not giving our body the ability and the time and the space to rest and stop and burn fat for fuel. So what happens is when you're overloaded because of living in this day and age on this planet with the amount of chemicals, pesticides, toxins, junk in the food, additives, flavorings, artificial sweeteners, those are all toxins. We also have toxins in all of our personal care products. Well, not all, but most. Lotions and makeup and shampoo. If you're looking at a label, right? If you're looking at a label, looking at a label right now. And if I can't read the ingredients, if I can't pronounce them, then that's a chemical. So if you're eating food and the list of ingredients isn't food, like this is a fast bar. We just started carrying these in the clinic. It's a food bar that keeps your body in fat burning. So this was what I had as my snack in the car on my 4-hour drive back home. Ingredients: macadamia nuts, honey, pecans, almonds, almond butter, coconut. So far, those are all foods. Inulin, that's a prebiotic fiber found in vegetables and different plant-based food sources. Flaxseed, coconut oil, coconut flour, sea salt, natural flavor. Mixed tocopherols, which is vitamin E. Ascorbic acid, vitamin C. Okay, those are all things that I can pronounce, and those are all foods. So this is a pretty healthy thing to put in your body. But most of the stuff that you find in the stores, on the shelves, packaged foods, boxed foods, what I like to call dead foods, have a bunch of preservatives in them. There's things you can't pronounce. There's hydrogenated fats, and those are toxins. And they start accumulating in the body. And most toxins are fat soluble. So when you have a fat soluble toxin and the liver isn't healthy enough to get it out of your system, your body, in its wisdom, its innate intelligence, is going to say, well, I can't process all of this through my liver because I don't have the nutrients necessary to package this toxin from a fat soluble form to a water soluble form. So where can I put it? I can put it in the cell wall, because the cell membrane, plants have cell walls. The cell membrane is made of a lipid, a fat bilayer. So the body's like, well, I can stick it in there. That's a fat source. I can stick it in there, or I can stick it in these fat cells. So that's where the body puts most of the toxins. It sticks them in fat cells or in the outside membrane of the cell itself, because it can't handle processing it through. The liver's not healthy enough. The intestines are not healthy enough. The kidneys are not healthy enough. You're not sweating and exercising properly, because the main forms of detoxification, remember, intestinal, so you're going to poop it out through the kidneys. You're going to pee it out. Breathe it out, and that's why I'm so against the masks for the most part, because you're expelling waste products through respiration. It's part of one of our main detoxification pathways, and you're just breathing all those toxins right back in. And then we have sweat. The largest organ in the body is our skin, so you can sweat out toxins. Okay, so those mitochondria, those little organelles in the cell, can only use sugar or fat to make energy, or ATP. That's what the energy source is, ATP. That's energy, currency of the body. So when you are unhealthy, when your cells, the membranes, are full of toxins, so that now all those beautiful little receptors, all those little antennas, those 20,000 antennas that are sticking out from your cell membranes that communicate with all the hormones in the body, insulin and thyroid and dopamine and serotonin and estrogen and cortisol and all the chemical messengers in the body. When the cell membrane's full of toxins and those receptors aren't working, the body is not healthy enough to burn fat for fuel, because one of the receptors on the cell that tells your body to burn fat for fuel is called a leptin receptor. So leptin is a hormone that tells your body to burn fat for fuel. So it's either sugar or fat. When you're stuck in sugar burning, which is where most Americans are because their cells are full of toxins, there's a bunch of toxins in their fat, and the body knows it's not healthy enough to burn that fat, because it knows if it starts burning that fat, it's going to release all the toxins in the bloodstream, and it's going to now endanger the body by subjecting the body to these toxins that have been safely hidden away in the cell membrane or in the fat cells. So even if you change your diet, even if you exercise, if you do Jenny Craig, or even whatever the stuff you tried to do, the stuff that I tried to do before I found this program, your body's just going to go, nope, sorry, like people that try to do keto. We have to get your body healthy from the inside out at a cellular level and clear out those toxins, reduce your stress, and then the third main thing is support your body nutritionally.